Form D and supply that to the DEP. And then they sort of leave it up to, whereas it's a residential building, they leave it in my ballpark to make a determination regarding asbestos. I didn't get that far. The DEP received some complaints, so they contacted me and told me to halt any cleaning that may be happening from the town's perspective until they came down here. So we met this past Friday on site with a member of the remediation team from DEP, and they communicated to me that no work could happen down there at all, no disturbing of the debris, until a asbestos consultant was hired to come down and test the debris. If it's negative, we can proceed usual, or the property owner can proceed in the usual manner as they would with any clearing of debris. If it's positive, that triggers a asbestos contractor, hazmat team to come out, and at that point in time, they sort of deal with the DEP independently. But we have been instructed nothing can happen, and nothing has to happen, on any time frame. But before any cleaning does occur, it needs to be tested, and depending on the results of that test, dictate how it can be cleaned up.
And whose obligation is it to do that test?
Well, it's on the property owner.
Okay.
The town is allowed to step in and perform that, but it's on the property owner initially. I communicated this to him yesterday, or a couple days ago, so he's aware of the proceedings, what needs to happen. So, we may have tackled it, from our town. The fire chief was willing to go down and clean it up. And the property owner contacted Teresa Ramsdell as well. I had to tell both of them that there can be nothing that happens there.
Does asbestos leach into the ground while it's sitting there eroding now?
I can't answer that question.
Versus
Like, I don't know the reality of it. The DEP stance is that as long as it's not disturbed, it's fine. And neither the DEP nor the town can compel the property owner to act as we might with a dangerous
I know
building.
that, like asbestos old pipes, there was like a procedure where they wrap it there and they don't pull it out, so
Yeah.
okay, there is something to.
So the one suggestion that I will give that I got from the individual I met with is that before any testing occurs, we might want to, as a town, go ahead and sweep the debris that's partially on the asphalt, but more in the sidewalk behind the yellow line. Because once it's tested, if were we to do that as a town, that we'd be in trouble. So before the test occurs, we can go, with a wide broom and push that stuff back in, just because it's in the walking path, some of it's in the road.
With dust mask on.
Yeah, it's something that would take 20 minutes to do, one person probably. I don't know if I'm that individual or not. I don't think so,
Dust
but.
mask isn't gonna help you with asbestos. It needs to be an N95 or better respirator.
Right, yeah, so.
I don't know if it's the fire department, the road department, I don't know, or nobody.
Someone with a broom, just gotta push it behind it. We don't have to, but that would be the best thing, so that it's on the property in the very least.
You gotta use a fire hose to keep the dust down and pull it back and out mist it. That building had asbestos shingles on it.
I can only speculate, but it appears to
Has
be.
there been relief from investigation yet, so we can actually do anything down there? Because the last I was told, is
Crimes?
do not even go near it.
Bobby would know the answer to that. I can't say. He seemed to be under the understanding that it has been released, but he didn't know that officially. So.
Well, they charged arson, so I mean, I guess they're doing in regards to that investigation.
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
That's the only reason why I know that the street side is not been touched.
Right, okay, it was intentionally not been touched because of that, yeah. So, I'll be sending out a letter, an official letter to the property owner once it leaves probate and communicating that to them officially. Again, that will all be on them to perform, but the town can perform the test, which isn't expensive, if that's something we want to determine, so it's probably going to come back positive, so I don't want to talk as though there's potential that it's going to come back negative. That's not likely. Yeah, prepare
Yeah.
for the worst, so it'll be
Yeah.
the responsibility of the owner to do that,
So if we're aware of asbestos there, does that give us any more oomph behind making
Like
the
if we
owner do
just-
something? Like, if we test it, so like, there's really nothing advantageous then for us to do that.
no, because unless you guys are going to, take on the cost of the
No.
remediation, which I
No.
wouldn't expect.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying.
That, I don't
So
see the advantage to
No.
taking that first step, just to get faster to the brick
Yep.
wall.
really, I agree.
Yeah, I don't have any recommendations there, it's just now it has to go by the book, so.
Well, that, and it's a crime scene, and it's an arson, and there's insurance involved likely, it's gonna be messy, we're gonna be beholden to their.
Yeah, and so my sort of bottom line on that is the property owner cannot be compelled to do anything that they don't want to do.
Usually the
by
fire marshal
any
will
entity.
sign off too, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whether they have or not.
Oh, again,
So
like,
it's a-
this is what the DEP communicate, like the DEP's perspective is that, there's no ordinance or law that we can act on as a town to force them, and the DEP can't either. And I wanted to be very clear with them on that, because I
that
knew
doesn't-
there was gonna be a lot of pushback from it.
So we have nothing,
No path of
no, well, I
recourse.
mean, the unsafe buildings have a state statute that has us following, so like
Correct.
unsafe sites of like, that doesn't fall under any state.
If I was gonna inquire about this, I would go and call this department at the DEP and ask them. And it was this department at the DEP that
That's it?
very clearly
Okay.
explained it to me, so
Alright.
that's why I asked like 3 times. I wanted to be absolutely certain that, when the pressure came on, that we understood that there's no one can, that's why I say the town can act upon it to move that forward, but they,
Do we
Yeah.
know if, either of the people that they outreach to about maybe doing something or qualified for asbestos removal or like,
the
probably-
DEP mentioned, I don't have the details on this,
Okay.
but that in some form or fashion, funds existed to aid the cleaning up, aid municipalities in the cleaning of
Okay.
properties like this.
Yeah.
But I don't have any details
We'll
on that.
learn from you as we go along.
This
Yeah.
is great work, man, thanks so
Yeah,
much for doing all
excellent
this,
job.
this is
Yeah, no
very thorough.
problem.
I guess, just so the board and the public are clear, so we're gonna pursue Washington Street as our priority, and then what does that look like, a letter going out?
It'll start with, me trying to, make contact with them, an unofficial letter to start off with, or a non-action letter. And I'll say something like, either I need a response within 30 or 60 days, or an official action letter will be sent out. And, I've got great examples of that from when this process all sort of was gone through several years ago.
Those
So,
reset
it's a great,
letters.
great,
Yeah.
blueprint for me to follow, because I obviously don't have much experience in this, but Gary and Jim did a very good job documenting it all, so.
Great work, man.
So I will report back at the end of May
Cool.
with any responses I've gotten on these properties in my usual report.
Thanks so
Great,
much.
thanks.
You're welcome.
Vicky?
Unfortunately, I don't have as much update as I thought we was gonna. The weather is just holding on. So it's to the point, we've tried to get a little bit of a jump on as much spring cleaning and, road maintenance as we can, but unfortunately, it's still hanging on there, so, yeah.
So ditch work and culverts, too muddy, too wet, yeah, too soft.
Too soft. The grade, we're still trying to get the grader straightened out to be able to take care of the pothole situations on the dirt roads. I mean, we can't even get 2 days of.
Can we start maybe prepping some of the sidewalks that we're
Right.
gonna tackle in town?
And we are.
Yeah.
We are doing that a little bit as we can, and, over the next couple weeks, I'll be on vacation, but Timmy and Wade will be here, running around through town, and doing that, getting ready to, for the Downey's
clean
correctional
up.
facility, getting the spring cleanup stuff going, and you'll see on the next article for the agenda, is just to talk about
Paving.
doing the spring paving.
When does the sand, the street sweeper come out? Was that early May?
It's gotten later and later every year. They used to try to do it before, so it was before the 4th of July.
Now, do you prep the sidewalks like with your own
We-
sweeper?
We do.
Okay.
So it's to the point, this is what the process will be over the next month, is the priorities will be, as wet as it is, to work in town here and prepping town for spring, for the tourist season and whatnot. And then we typically get out of town until we do whatever it is that we do for the fall for work. So by doing what we're gonna do, and we're right there right now, is this year, the way the fall went and the hot topping went, we kind of cut it off early, so that's why I've been trying to get to the point where we're gonna come back in early and do a split paving for the town. So the goal this year is in the spring, between the end of May and the 1st of June, is to do Church Street, from the fire station down to Washington Street and Church Street, Spring Street and Summer Street, get out of town for the summer, do some work on the other roads, get those ready for fall paving, and then go from there.
What did we decide for start on the parking lines?
So,
We said spring, didn't we?
yeah, we have, so I mean, the first thing we obviously gotta do is we gotta get the one sand cleaned
Get
up.
it cleaned up.
We gotta get the sand cleaned up, we're going to get the 2 sidewalks that we're going to test downtown, get those done. And then we're going to put the new crosswalks in. We got new signage to put 4 crosswalks, there's 8 of them, I believe, so you'll see all through town this year, there'll be the signs in the middle of the intersections and whatnot, labeling crosswalks for pedestrians and whatnot, so.
What did we do about the anti-Semitic, language on County Road?
Nothing, that's nothing to us.
No,
Yeah.
I would just encourage
I
people, if they're
mean-
seeing people stick stickers on
I don't
town
wanna
property,
look, I
private
don't wanna
property.
make it look like we're looking for an easy way out, but, I mean, for the way it's been happening, and, I mean, Versant, Maine DOT, the town, we, private owners, we've been kind of dealing with what we can deal with on our own, so
What do the public do? They call the sheriff?
well, I think they bother the town office here first, and then
Yeah.
we try to handle it from here. But it's to the point, you know, we don't allow, as far as we know, and any documentation that we can find, we don't allow that type of stuff on town property.
We don't
So
allow
it
any
immediately
signs
comes,
that would.
if we are aware of it, it immediately comes down.
Well, some of it's staying on the signs, it's,
Yeah, well,
it's from
and we refer,
Yeah,
it to the other entities for, I know the state DOT is not impressed at all. So,
and I do know Versant's tried to contact the person several times, and they've said that either they have caller ID and see the number and don't answer, or they pick up, and when the lady says her name, they hang up. So. and
I don't know if there's something more that we can do.
I don't
I
either.
don't
That's why
either.
I do know
bring it up
Versant
again.
has responded to
Saying
an occasion where,
in town they
yeah,
did.
Yes.
you know, you can't, in theory, you're not supposed to put lost
No.
cat on a telephone
No.
pole.
Right.
But they've been very
Yeah.
responsive in coming out and have been removing things, so,
Mhm.
certainly to make us aware of that.
And the thing of it is, with all the programs that everybody's trying to do and going the right way about getting permits for pole usage and
Mhm.
everything like that, I mean, we don't need the bad name
No,
for this stuff right here.
Councilor Jeff?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I stopped because I couldn't read what was written on the road when I drove by. It was like, okay, I'll bite, I'll stop, and I walked back and I read it. And that particular phrase that was written on the road really isn't anti-Semitic. There was anti-Semitic notices put up in other places, but that one wasn't. But still, we allow political protest at Flatiron Corner. You can carry any sign you want there, but when it goes beyond that, where it has to be written in 2-foot-high letters on the road, it's like, and it actually is distracting.
I think it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
Safety
Yeah.
issue, yeah.
Right.
I would think vandalism.
That's why I pulled over and went back and read it.
Yeah, and I think that, wasn't that the intersection of South Lubec?
Just
Yeah,
Just
just before,
past it,
just
yeah.
So
before
I mean,
that.
that's even more dangerous.
Right.
It's just-
But I mean, when anything happens flat on the corner, they stand there with their stuff, and when they're done, they take it with them.
Right,
Yeah.
Leave
Yeah,
it
yeah.
then they're off the road,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Right.
a constitutional right.
I mean, I don't know if anybody else, but I know Vicki and I, not to be is wasting our time, taxpayer money,
Well, and that's where I'm
to
at.
keep going around and removing signs
But I mean,
and dealing
you
with
folks
calls
are getting
and-
contacted
Yeah.
over it too, so I mean, it's taking
Yeah.
everybody's
Everybody,
time in dealing with this.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe just if it's on private property or DOT, then they call the sheriff.
Just like,
It's, you know, I don't know what else we can do.
no, right, and I checked with legal, even though it's political, public speech, free speech, it's still private property, you can't touch it.
I don't know if it's Dicky to handle this, you guys handle it. DOT just did that, showed that hill stabilization down there on something by Kirby Esterns. Has anybody spoke to them about redoing that guardrail? That guardrail's too short on both ends, I think, yeah. At least probably down about where the pole is on the downstream side. And up at probably 2 lengths, if not more, on the upstream side.
Dickie, are you in touch with them?
I would think, I mean, I've spoke with them, but I believe there's a project going on there to lift the road.
I thought they were back there again this spring, aren't they?
Yeah, they're supposed to be there working until June or July, actually, as far as,
Yeah. If you do, can you have time, can you send a note on that?
yep.
I don't think that cable rail's legal anymore.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, I thought it's been removed in almost every other state. They determined it to be more dangerous than,
Yeah.
maybe we should just flat out request a new section of guardrail. Upgrade.
Yeah, we got things done.
That'd be smart.
If you could just follow up on that, that'd be
Yep.
great. And then do you have the bid on the paving, did you wanna talk about that?
It's just to advertise it, we'll just put it out.
Are you good with that?
Oh, yeah,
When's that going out?
should be in coincides, not, Friday.
You got mileage that you're gonna do, what is it?
We measured it, but I can't remember what the length of the streets are.
Cemetery memorial, when's that going out?
Friday, in the 45, and I'll go around town, post it in stores.
Looks like the office is closed for Patriots Day on the 21st.
December.
It's one of those freaky holidays that's only made in Mass.
Mm.
But always screwed me up on the tax bill, so I would schedule them on that day.
So we have a couple items for other business. You wanna do the Harbor Board nomination first, and then do the letter of support? We're gonna need to nominate Sean Karakoff, for the Harbor Board Committee Chair position. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
All in favor?
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then we had a request for a letter of support from the water department. I think that was for a grant, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We wanna discuss that first?
I have said it, you know, multiple times that I'm not in favor of a letter of support until we have some kind of treasurer's report or updated financial that they haven't provided to ratepayers or the town in a couple of years. So maybe we could ask for that and then we can consider.
I would think that is a fair request.
Your board was invited by members of their board to attend a meeting at which they said they would discuss those issues, if I remember.
We've had a
correctly.
few conversations and
Okay.
state law requires in the ratepayer statement they give annually, they are supposed to include a treasurer's report, which I as a ratepayer have never received. And they have not had a statement in our town report for years. Like, I think they said 10 years or something since they've given one, so I can't find, even going through the PUC website where you're supposed to have financial records, can't find anything accurate on Lubec. So for me on the board, I would not be in favor of supporting a letter of support on a financial issue until I see their financials.
I mean, I recall that, in that meeting, they did say they would,
Right.
and they did say that we were welcome to meetings, and that is true too, but I do believe part of the follow-up was, okay, we'll get the report, and then we'll go to the meetings, and we'll
Well, and they're not for
swing by
nothing.
you at the end, but we haven't got it.
I'm not for nothing,
We haven't got it.
requesting a letter of support from a board in regards to a financial matter should provide you with some financial information, you know, so that would just be my comment on that. can I just,
Oh,
you
sorry,
wanna,
go
can I
ahead.
just, so I don't know how many people have been, paying attention to the school board or the AOS,
Budget.
administrative budget that has failed twice, is going into its third very, pretty soon. And the school board has started the Lubec budget. They're going into, third draft. At the last school board meeting, they began to identify perhaps some strategies for removing some money or not having I think they're looking at a 20-something% increase right now. That might be, maybe it's in the teens, but anyway, there was some
Actually,
conversation.
what's
But
there is 23.
23, thank you, John. But the thing I wanted to bring up, because at that meeting, some of the school board members brought up that they want to have a town vote. They want to have a town vote around the high school option, and they want to have a town vote about the LCRC. And as I spoke there, and I'm sure about this because I checked with the Department of Education, because they are an RSU, they are an independent finance under different laws in the town, and we can't do that stuff. So like, if they want to have a warrant question about whether the high school choice should go away or not, that would be a school board issue, not a town issue. And the same for the other, and I just wanted us to be aware because I don't know that they understand that or if they're willing to hear that fact, but I just wanted everybody to be aware that there's some talk. I mean, because, the RSU is just Lubec anymore. And the structure is they are independent financially, and so the town, it can't be that way, although it's all the same people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but, it would not be our warrant, it would their warrant, like, which might be more argument to trying to figure out if we can do the meetings on the same day, but I just wanted us to be aware that, the comment came up, the town should do this vote, but it's not the town, it's the school board that has to do that, so, but just wanted y'all to be aware. You too, Pacific.
Call Nancy.
No.
So you're saying as far as the town, it's not the town that would have the option to put it out for a vote, it would be then the school board would have to.
Right, because the school board does their
If the
meeting.
people wanted it, then the school board would have to.
Well, the
put
school
it.
board has their
Okay.
warrant election meeting in June every year.
Okay, no, I
You know
just
what I
wanted,
mean?
it
Right.
sounded a little, I just wanted, I didn't know.
Right, it is the townspeople, and it was, I don't even remember, and maybe you know, Suzette, you were around, or you guys were around, when the decision was made to close the high school and keep that building, was that like at a town meeting, or was that done at a school meeting, or like, is there a contract someplace? Because there was conversation about that, the people were promised there would always be high school choice. But now that's, going on 15 years ago, and the high school choice, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in the budget if they looked at some of that piece. And that was where the conversation came up that was a town vote, and that was guaranteed, and then there's some talk that, no, there wasn't.
I think it was just an agreement, I found the folder and it just
Okay.
said, but I don't think there was anything voted on by the town.
It's a referendum
To
question.
close it.
I imagine it would be,
To close it, but about the choice for high school, was that in that referendum?
It was it's in the town report, the annual town report as an article.
Okay, if it gives them
So maybe we need to find that wording.
And then again, just because you vote an article on this year doesn't mean you can't.
Can't change, absolutely, absolutely, and that's,
Not to say I want to, but it's just like any policy, any ordinance,
But what
it
has
can
to
be
happen,
changed.
what has to happen if we can tell that we looked at, is we have to go back and find the wording of
Yeah.
that article
right,
in that year
Mhm.
and revisit that.
See how it was worded.
because it was a
To
town
make-
vote
to make
to
any
close
type
the
of
high
change.
school and not a school board vote to close the
The
high
I
school?
school board
That's my
recommended.
understanding, that it was a town vote,
Because that doesn't make
that the
sense.
school board, well, Melissa Lee was part of that. And
Okay.
she explained it to me, that they had to vote to close the school in order to put it to a town vote. If they had voted to keep the school,
Okay.
they
Okay,
would not have voted.
We can
okay,
recommend,
but was the high school choice in that referendum?
Yes,
Yes?
but the choice of tearing the building down came later,
And that got struck
Okay.
down.
it came later.
Okay,
And that was actually part of the school budget referendum a couple of years later,
Okay.
where there was $150,000 bid to tear it down, and that bid was defeated by 114 to 5.
Wow. Wow.
The town voted to keep the bid.
I'd just like to know, how do you find out when the school board meetings are?
They meet the first Thursday of the month at, well, I think it was
It is.
5 o'clock, but now they'll be going to 6 o'clock too. They've always met then.
Are they
Since I've
They're
lived
on
in
the town
town.
calendar on the website.
Yep, yep.
Are they doing video of your meetings?
No.
No,
Probably people are misled because they get a tax bill at the end of the year and it just has a number.
yeah.
So they don't know,
Yeah.
but school budget or town
We
budget
talked about
or mill.
itemizing that.
So I
Well,
think it's
and
kind of
that's-
understandable.
and that
that
becomes
it's
a
rolled
challenge.
into one.
With the RSU status, because that gives them independence on finance and decisions. And, you know, although it is the same group of people, when you vote for school stuff, you're not the townspeople, you're the citizens of the RSU, or something like that is the word.
Nancy, the legal term is that the RSU is its own fiscal agent.
Correct, correct. That, but they, so that never the twain can meet between the town and the school because of that status. You know, and I did find out because, you know, it wasn't RSU for the fact that Trescott was with Lubec for so many years, but when the county made all the unorganized territories go to Eddington,
The town
Lubec.
didn't do that, the county did.
No, I said that, when the
Yeah.
county did that, the town stood alone as an RSU. And when you read education law about RSUs, there's supposed to be a collaboration of one town or more. So, I did reach out a while ago to the Department of Education for my own understanding, and from what they told me, there are 2 or 3 single towns that are still RSUs or SADs, same thing, in the state of Maine. And the Maine state law allows you to leave an RSU, but you can't dissolve an RSU. So then, you know, my question became like, well, can we leave the RSU?
Yeah.
And
Only
does
it's
the
gone,
RSU
there's
have
no one
nobody
there.
in it? Or like, you know, but that, you know, that is the dilemma that, you know, the school stuff is separate. And I know that, you know, in trying to figure out their budget, those are all things they're asking about, so.
How hard is it to just a line item on the tax bill to have school budget?
It does.
It's
It
100
does.
cents now.
There's already, that's
It's already on there.
Yeah.
And it's always more than the town and always more than the county.
The county, the school, and the town budget, the percentage and the amount of your bill, it's been on the, it's mandated.
Thanks for that, Nancy.
Yeah, just so people know and that we know, because in case you hear it, that, you know.
If I could, are you here with the DECC? Yeah.
Oh,
Can you come up? We've already passed a motion and we've just to accept the donation.
oh,
wonderful. It's contingent upon verifying a few things with MMA.
Uh-huh.
So we just, I didn't want you sitting back there and not at least be aware that we talked about it early.
Watch out for the wire.
Um,
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Pull that one. There you go.
we were just trying to figure out, you know, if it's feasible for the town to assume ownership. And our road crew members here, so we got his insight as well. And I appreciate you showing up. We just had a couple questions around, you know, your
Sure.
motivation. and
Sorry,
whatnot.
Colin told me that it was 6 o'clock, so.
Next meeting it is.
Oh,
15th, we go back to
sorry.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, and our only dilemma with it was we just want to be sure that by the warrant on our town, it allows the board to accept gifts. But we want to just confirm that that's like land. too,
And,
so
and
that
if,
you
and if we
know.
decided that we wanted to sell at some point, that we weren't hamstrung in that
Right.
regard. It is a small lot,
Yes.
and we're looking at it more so like it's a way of mitigating all the water issues down there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
Which would be
when
good.
Richard
Yeah.
weighed in and thought, yeah, that could be to our benefit.
Yep.
So that's really where we're at. We're just, at this point, gonna follow up with MMA and then we'll move forward one way or another.
That's lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
my
out.
name is Robin Pinto.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, I've met you with you before
Yes.
with Rogers Island,
with Rogers
Yeah.
Island, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so appreciate you coming out and
yeah.
filling
So-
in for Colin.
Um,
Yeah.
so in terms of taking information back to the board, what we would do is we would have a resolution by the board to gift
Gift it.
to the town of Lubec.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like of
I'm good.
us?
I mean, we're just waiting, we've passed a conditional motion and now we're
Okay.
just waiting to get legal to
Okay,
sign off on a couple things.
The next board meeting is at the end of April.
Oh, so we should have the
28th.
answer by then, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Follow up with you or Colin.
yeah, that would be lovely.
Fantastic, thanks for coming in.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
thank you.
Any more public comments? Yep.
Hi, I'm Chris Sorreo, a resident in town. And I've had a problem with my tax bill, which I've met with Mr. Perry, and my wife has met Diane here. We've met with him 3 times in person and several times over the phone, and we've asked to get an abatement on our taxes. He has never presented us with any forms. We finally found out that we can get it from the town office. Suzette supplied us with it, and we forwarded it to you, as well as all correspondence that we've presented to Mr. Perry on our behalf over the time. It's been ongoing for a few months prior to the tax, this 2025 tax. And I gave it to him, but I also gave it to blind copy to Suzette, so this way you folks can have it. You don't have to review it now, I know that, but you have it in your hands now. And you can take a look at it, it's pretty lengthy. I have a lot of documentation, factual documentation, that I have found the town is losing a large amount of revenue, okay? A lot of revenue. I mean, we hear talking about all these little things, but if they kind of focused a little bit more on what had happened going back in that last tax assessment, which you folks are even more aware of it going back to that time. We kind of found out about it later on when we kind of got our tax bill, okay? But this was something that had gone back almost 2 years ago. We're back into September of 23. I think there was even a video recording where everybody's on it talking about how the town was kind of, people were upset about it because the way it was supposed to have been done was it was supposed to be what Ms. Robbins had come out and expressed to everybody was, yes, taxes were supposed to go up and it would be done fairly across the whole town. And by the taxes going up, hopefully the mill rates would come down, but everybody would bear a fair burden. Well, we all know that Ms. Robbins didn't do that, okay? And that was the biggest thing that occurred. She probably did maybe and I've gone through all of the records, and I think the town's losing a lot of money. I know they're losing a lot of money, and I can show you where they're losing a lot of money, okay? And what's happening too is that where they're losing it on one end,